Hello, IED people. We are going to continue our coding adventures with the line detector playground. So if you can get into your VEXVR and get into the line detector, we're going to do 3 challenges out of this. The first is pretty basic, and that one is going to be where you are going to identify the second green line. In either row D or row E. And by the way, to choose that, there's a little button over here that allows you to go to whichever column you want to go to. Now, you might be thinking, well, just have it drive forward until the down eye sees green, then stop, then have it drive forward again until it sees green. Here's the problem. It's going to drive forward until it sees green. And if you say, okay, drive forward again until it sees green, it's going to see the same green. So you won't have found the second one. You can't do it by distance because you have to be doing it either in D or E, right? So you have to be able to do both. So you're going to have to find a way of it moving forward. Now, going a distance may or may not be a good idea. What if we had a couple of greens really packed close together and you're trying to, just get that distance precise? You could try going forward for a certain amount of time. Here's how I would personally do this to avoid counting the same green twice. I would do something like, drive forward until and in here I'd put that the down eye is seeing green. And then I would probably drive forward again, and I would go until, now this is a unique thing here. There is a not in here, which means opposite of whatever you're saying. So if you say not, wait until it is not true that the down eye sees green. So the way to read not is it is not true that. Okay, that's the way to think about it. So you would wait until it is not true that the down eye sees green, and then continue to drive forward until it sees green again and stop. Now, one of the things I'm going to ask you to do here is you're always going to print when you've found the block, or you're counting blocks in later things, you're going to say your name found, in this case, the second green block or green line, either way. Found. Okay. Oh, geez. All right. You know what I mean. So, so you got to figure out, oh my goodness, I'm having a hard time here with this. There we go. All right. So, so that is your first challenge. Pause the video, do it. You're going to run it so that it will run on either D or E, and picture of your code, and then we'll move on to the next one. So pause the video here, please. All right, so hopefully you've counted the second green line. Now, the next challenge is going to be to count the number of blocks of all colors. Now, this gets a lot more challenging than just going to the second green line, right? So you can drive forward until it sees a green line or until it sees a red line. One of the problems that you're going to have is you're going to have 2 blues in a row over here, 2 reds in a row. So this has to work regardless of whether you're on C or D or E, that it's going to count the number of lines. Now, I would personally set up some variables. I would say green line, blue line, red line. right? Set up those three variables. Now, remember a variable can't have spaces in it. So if you were to put, green line, it would have to be green line as if it was one word. And then I would think about what we did here. We're going to drive forward, until the down eye sees blue. Now, you can't say like you did here to drive forward again until it doesn't see blue. Well, you could because there's a space in there. So no matter what, in your loop, you're going to somehow make sure that you're not counting the same block again. And I think the best way to do that is to drive forward until it sees none and then continue to drive forward. Now, one of the things that you can do also in here is when you have your down eye, you can have it detect none. Okay, so here's a weird thing. You could do something where you wait until the down eye, it is not true that the down eye detects none, right? And then decide if it's green, change green by one. I'll give you an example of that, okay? But that's why this is a challenge, is because you've got to try and do this all by yourself without me. And you got to think about things a little bit. So sometimes that's, making a 14-year-old think this way is a little bit tough, but you guys can handle it. So we're gonna go until the down eye does not detect none, right? Then I will have my if then statement. So I've already got a variable that's say called blue line. So I'm going to say if the down eye, so I'm going to move forward until the down eye, forward until the down eye detects none. Does that make sense? So if it's on blue, it's not none. None is only in here. If I get to here, it is not true that it detects none. It is detecting something. Then I'll say, okay, if the down eye sensor detects blue, then I'm going to change my blue line by one. I'll show you that. So make a variable, call it blue. I guess we can just call it blue instead of blue line, and that's fine. Okay, so now I've got my blue variable. Now, blue is automatically going to be 0 in the program. We don't have to set it that way. So what we can do here is say, okay, we're going to drive forward. And again, I'm not doing this linearly on purpose. You have to do that. I'm just showing you tips and tricks and techniques of things that you can use, right? So we can then say, okay, once it's on that spot, and you can probably either stop driving or not stop driving. It should do this in real time, as fast as the processor can do it. So as it's on that blue, it's going to count it. So let me think of where I am here. How I would create this program, as I would say, each time I'm going to be in a loop where I'm going to move forward, okay? And by the way, I don't care if you crash into the back wall. So you can make it a forever loop if you want. That's okay. We'll go until you do not see nothing. Once you're there, then you're going to have this if statement that's going to say if the down eye, and you're going to have a bunch of them in a row. If, right? So you're going to say if the down eye detects green, let's say, then you're going to, or actually the one I created was blue, right? So we'll stick with that. Then I am going to change blue by one, okay? And that means we're count. So every time if I'm on E, it's going to count E. It's going to count this first one, then it's going to move, it's going to count these two, then it's going to count that one again, and so on and so forth, right? When we get to the end, you're going to have three prints where you're going to say Joe Cougar found, and you're going to say, actually, you're going to have it be like this. Okay. So it's going to be Joe. Should have my last name in there. Joe Cougar found, and then you're going to have another print. Okay. And it's going to be a certain number of green blocks. Let me see if I can hold on, I'll show what I'm going to look for if there's an easier way to do this than stacking those. Here's the easiest way to do that. We're going to put 3 of these in a row. Okay. And then we're going to set a cursor to a new row. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to say for each one of these, so you're going to have 3 sets of this. I'll again stick with blue. Okay, so you're going to say Joe Cougar found a certain number of blue lines. Now, what this is going to be is not text here, but it's going to be the variable of blue. Whatever blue is, that's a number. It's going to say Joe Cougar found, and whatever blue ends up being blue lines. Okay, you're going to do that same thing for the others also. Now, you could have all of these, because you're going to have 12 of these lines in a my block if you want, and you could just say print as a my block and put that in the end of your code, because remember, we're trying to reduce the amount of code that we are using. So I've given you what you need. Okay, your goal is to work on this and to be successful, so that you have gone on either line C or column C, column D, column E, and counted the number of blocks of each color. Now, we're not going to do black, but if you do this, if down I detects blue, that's not true for any of them, okay? And it's still going to move forward. Maybe you wait for a millisecond, for a tenth of a second there, and it will move on. It still shouldn't count it. If it's stopping there, then you need to think about why that's happening. All right, so that is our second challenge, okay? So pause this video and get this done. If you end up getting through about a half an hour of work on this and you still couldn't make it successful, you can put in the code that you have and write me a note that says why you think you were having problems or where it was causing issues for you. Okay, now you're going to pause here, do that second challenge. Here is your third challenge. You've already got what you're doing to do this and count this. Now you're going to count the black lines. Now this is where it gets a little weird to think about. You're basically got your code set up to do that, and you're just going to modify it. First of all, you're going to add 4 more of these to find black. The other thing that you're going to need to do is, remember when we were doing moving forward until you do not detect nothing, which means something's there. So now the way to count black is if it is not, again, green or blue or red, then you're going to change it black. So once it's stopped there, and you say, okay, if it's green, do this. If it's blue, do this. If it's red, do this. And now if you're going to have to say, if it is not this or that, right? So if it's not green or blue or red, now you're going to count it as black. So you also have in your control systems, you can do these operators that are or, and so this is going to get tricky because you're going to say if it is not true. And again, I'm just showing this for the next one. I know this is all not in order. You're not copying me. You're on your own. So if it is not true that it is green, or it is not true that is that. And then within that, you're going to have to put another not. Okay. Oops, actually, I'm negating that. So you're going to have to do that. And you're going to have to do an or again, where you say, because we need 3 of them, right? So you're going to have to move that not true that is that or that or that, or if it's not true that it's that. So you follow me? So if it's not true that it is green or black, right? In other words, that the down eye sense is green. So this is going to get long. And it is not true that the ground down eye sense is blue, or it is not true that the down eye sense is actually. Hold on, folks. I kind of thought about this wrong for a sense. I got to get rid of this. It's going to be and, not or. There we go. We need and, not or. I'm sorry. Didn't think about that right. So we need it to be, if it is not true, actually, or would have worked. And also would work here also. So because it's true that it is not any of those, so we could say it's not that the down eye detects blue, and it is, and that the down eye detects none, and that the, or green, whatever the colors are. You get what I'm saying, right? There has to be 3 of those. And then that if statement will be that you're going to change black by 1, which means you have to set up a variable. All right. Now that was a lot of stuff. You might need to watch this section again where we talk about that. And then your challenge is to count now 4 things: how many greens, how many blues, how many reds, and how many blacks. And that way you can do this on either A, B, or C. All right, folks, that's the challenge. Hope it works out for you. Let me know if you're stuck on something and I can give you some ideas. Again, if you fail at this, that doesn't mean that you're going to get a bad grade, as long as you say, here's where I'm stuck on my code and here's where I'm having real problems. But you got to work at it for a while. Can't be that you spent 3 minutes on it and gave up and then just said, well, I can't do it. That's not going to be good enough. So, all right, folks, hope you're liking it. Hope that it's challenging to you, but still doable. And we'll talk next time about the tournament that we will have for coding. All right, have fun. See you next time.